Hello and welcome to my May 5th, 2026. It is 12:30 in the morning, but I don't want to go to sleep yet because I've had this video in my mind. This is video number 4 and I want to make it on Judgment Day. Now, I realize that most of us when we think of Judgment Day, we think of day of apocalypse, and we think of day. Actually, it's not a day, it's like the beginning of, you know, I guess in the Bible it says Jesus is going to be back for 1,000 years to rule. And I guess that would take 1,000 years for him to judge all of us. So it's not really Judgment Day, it's more like Judgment Era. But if this is your first video of mine, then I would like to introduce myself. I am the one who's claiming that I am from everlasting life. Jesus' everlasting life. It's real and true. I've had 2 experiences during which I came to the knowledge of everything that I'm talking about. They were experiences where I was in communication with God, but it was not what you think. It was not where, you think that I was hearing a voice or seeing anything. It wasn't like that at all. My experiences were that God was merely giving me my memories back from everlasting life. I was remembering. And it was a huge revelation what the knowledge that I was coming to through the memories. And so one of the very first thing that I came to knowledge to was that the entire universe, in its almost infinite vastness, it is finite, is everlasting life. Jesus's everlasting life is this universe right now that we live in, except for the earth. Earth is not part of everlasting life yet. What I learned is that earth is due to join everlasting life on Judgment Day. And also what I learned is that God makes the universe cyclic through a process of recreating it. So the universe itself, without God, comes to a cold end. So matter comes to be still and the universe gets cold. And the stars fizz out over time. But what I learned is that towards the end of that, God recycles, reprograms, and recreates the universe for us. It recreates it exactly as it was at the end. So the beginning of each universe cycle, the universe is exactly as it was at the previous cycle. And this is how God creates infinity for us. And once per universe cycle, let's say that's 20 billion years, I'm just throwing it out there, a planet like Earth evolves. So other planets evolve at the same time. New planets evolve. But only one planet in the entire universe evolves vessels perfect for intelligence. It evolves human beings. And then God adds soul. And souls are God's children. So if you're a human being, and I hope you are, if you're watching this and understanding it, then you're a human being. And that means you have a soul. Souls are real. And souls exist outside of this universe in God's dimension. So the universe is God's technology, it is quantum mechanics, but our souls exist outside of this physical universe in God's dimension. So God's dimension is part of the blueprint of the universe. That means God needs to exist in order for our universe to exist. If God ceased to exist, our universe would cease to exist. And God creates infinity for us by recycling and recreating, reprogramming the universe and recreating it. And this is what is everlasting life. This is how life is everlasting. And this is what I've learned during my 2 experiences that I had. And Earth is not part of everlasting life yet. And by the way, infant intelligence planets like the Earth, you may wonder, well, why doesn't everlasting life, why is there Earth when so many bad things are happening? Because trillions of new souls are added to everlasting life, and their biology, their DNA, that diversity is added to everlasting life. We need that diversity in everlasting life. Although the universe is infinite, over such a long period of time, we need the diversity of brand new DNA, brand new souls, in order for us to have children and have new soulmates, husbands and wives. But God only allows one infant intelligence planet per universe cycle. And know that everlasting life is utopia. It is heaven. But it is real life. It is physical existence. It's not an afterlife. It's not a ghostly existence. And the infant intelligence planets all go through very similar stages of development. And everything is designed around free will. And this is why we are without the presence of God. And it is so that God is not absent in such a way that God does not intervene. God does intervene, and we know this because Jesus was here. But it is all designed around free will. Everything is designed around free will, including the physical design of the universe. And I'll get to that in another video called The Blueprint of the Universe, Mechanics of Time. And it is, well, I don't want to say to me, but it is very important that people, mathematicians and scientists, take it seriously and try to disprove it, at least, so that we know. Because if my theory into how time works can be proved, then that will prove that God is real and everything is designed around free will. And so infant intelligence goes through very similar stages, and because of our design by God, infant intelligence always develops religions. And this is inevitable because of our design by God. And I'll get to that in another video. But the point I'm trying to make is that a religion is a natural process of infant intelligence, but it is not necessarily where we find God. And where we find God is during the awakening era, which always precedes Judgment Day. And the awakening era always happens when infant intelligence discovers today's technology, and that being high-speed internet and our video sharing apps, what I'm doing right now. That's the only criteria that's needed for the awakening era to happen. And once the awakening era happens, then the 4 signs that Judgment Day is near will start happening. Lots and lots of UFOs, because all aliens are people from everlasting life, and they're taking part in the awakening era on the infant intelligence planet through the help of God. So if you're privy to witness a real UFO, not a fake one like mine, real UFOs, then know that God knew what you would be looking, and it was there for you. Lots and lots of UFOs. Infant intelligence discovers the first planet with life on it. So we will soon discover the first planet with life on it, and it will be an everlasting life planet. And it will be through my video, UFO Acrobats, which actually is posted on my other channel as Kareth. And I'm going to post it on this channel too, of course. And number 3, celestial anomalies. So things are going to be happening in space. That's supernova, kilonova, and we've seen 3i Atlas and Oumuamua, and I think Betelgeuse is about to go supernova, and there's going to be more. So lots and lots of celestial anomalies. And number 4, soul speak. Soul speak pertains to music, but it's going to be sounds of technology created by the spaceships. And this is part of it, but I don't want to get too distracted and start talking about that, because then I'll lose my track of thought. But I'll make another video why the trumpet sounds, which are really sounds of technology, are part of it. But on the earth, because the intelligence virus is very, very prevalent, there's going to be a 5th sign, +1. And that is that all of you who are here today, who are from everlasting life, will be awakened by God as well to remember your lives in everlasting life. And then we will all agree on what we remember, what I remembered, and what is happening. And this is something we chose ourselves for. Because of free will, God does not choose anybody. Even Jesus has to choose himself to do what he did on earth. And then God prepares us when we choose ourselves. So know that Jesus was prepared, and he knew what was going to happen and still chose himself. Because once we raise our hand to help God raise infant intelligence, to be basically, it's a process of reincarnation where our souls, remember I said we are soul, our souls are from everlasting life, belong into everlasting life. And God has the power to withdraw our souls from our biology, and then he deposits that soul into at moment of conception, into the biology on the infant intelligence planet. And then we're always born here with a mission which God helps us achieve. And there's a long story behind that, which I'm going to make a video in next time. But that is the fifth sign, is that people will start awakening and claiming that they too are from everlasting life. And I know you're thinking, well, you're just opening up a can of worms for people with issues who would start making that claim. But I'll make a video about that next time, later. What I'm trying to say, oh, but on that note, I gather maybe 10% of the world population is from everlasting life. So it's either gonna be, I guess I'm trying to do the math real quick. I guess 500 million people who would claim they're from everlasting life, or it's not true. So I don't want to be here and have you think that I'm making this up in order to manipulate. That would be breaking God's one law. Slavery is against God's one law. So God is ruler of the universe and rules the universe with just one law. Thou shalt not prevent nor hinder the free will of anyone. Thou shalt not enslave anyone to your will. God does not allow us to enslave each other. We're not allowed to have slaves. And lying in order to manipulate is a form of slavery. Slavery comes in three forms: physical, so bullying or other forms of physically harming somebody; mental, again, bullying with words, or lying, or manipulating. That is also a form of slavery. Or financial. So you can financially enslave somebody by stealing from them, forging, and other ways of financial manipulation. So that would be breaking God's one law. So do I have doubts? I can make a video about why sometimes I sit here and I just think, well, it's too grand. I myself, I just like, it's also too good to be true. Feels like it. The universe is way too, it's almost infinite. It's so big. Like, I watch videos about how big it is and it just boggles the mind. But I'm not here trying to put doubts in your mind. It's just that Jesus told us to seek the truth. And questioning is part of seeking the truth. It's okay to question. It's okay to doubt. But know that if you follow God's one law, which means don't have slaves, and then you do good deeds, then you will wake up on Judgment Day. So let's get back to Judgment Day. So what Judgment Day did I remember? Well, Judgment Day is going to be a day of first contact. So you either wake up on Judgment Day or you don't. That's all that's going to happen. That's all that's going to happen. You either wake up, and if you wake up, you will never die. You made it. You made it into everlasting life. If you wake up one day and there's UFOs, spaceships everywhere, if you live in the city, above the rooftops, not even that high, and not huge spaceships, not like in the movies, just personal spaceships, just maybe 2-3 times bigger than a big house at most, then You've made it. You will never die. And all your dreams will come true on that day. And if your dream is to meet aliens and see really cool technology, that's going to be your first dream come true. And then you'll have a choice. The spaceships around dawn. So first they'll just hover and they're not going to make a sound. And they're going to be in like a underneath, above a like a light cloud of color. That's why I remember it in my true existence as Gareth. Because Azkirith was born in as infant intelligence, not in everlasting life. 99% of people in EL are born in EL. But Azkirith was born infant intelligence. And so I remember Judgment Day. And lots happens on Judgment Day. One of the things that is negative is that those who chose to die will not wake up on Judgment Day. Those who had slaves and those who did not do good deeds will die on Judgment Day. But everybody meets God on Judgment Day, including those who die. Why? Because you are God's child and you will not die believing lies. So before God lets you go, God will explain what's happened. And you will learn the truth. And then God lets you go and your soul self-extinguishes. So it's not that God will take your life, because you will have judged yourself according to God's one law. And so I encourage you to judge yourself now while you're alive, because we are so free-willed, we have to judge ourselves. God does not judge and Jesus won't judge. So you cannot make your case to anybody except yourself. And you know yourself. You know your causes and your reasons and your rationale. And so in that way, Judgment Day can be sad day. But Judgment Day is only a 24-hour period. A lot will happen on Judgment Day. But one of those things is that we only get 24 hours to mourn those who die, even if it's our children. And you wake up, there's going to be spaceships. They're just going to be hovering there in the clouds of light. All kinds of colors. So it'll be really quite beautiful. And it doesn't matter where you are on the planet. If you chose everlasting life, there's going to be a spaceship there. So if you're lost in the jungle somewhere, you will get rescued on Judgment Day by aliens, who are all human beings, by the way. All aliens are human beings of different races. And then around dawn, they will quietly, again, no sound, they will start to come down. And by that time, because we would have awakened our neighbors, we will be in a large group. And then you just wait your turn. You wait your turn, and when it's your turn, the spaceship will come down on the street, if room allows, of course, in a safe distance. And people will come out, and they're going to speak your language wherever you are, because They've been prepared for this by God. God taught them the language. And they will answer any questions you have. And if you're an adult, they will ask you, do you wish to stay or do you wish to come with us? We will take you anywhere in the universe. If that does not excite you, I don't know how to get you excited. But yes, on Judgment Day, if you feel like Earth is not your home, which for some people, that's what it's going to be, then you will have the option to go anywhere in the universe, to any galaxy. And how that's possible, again, is for another video. But in EL, we have God's technology, which allows us to do incredible, amazing things. And EL is a vacation. You will begin your vacation. You will never, ever have to go to a job. I mean, when you live for infinity, and we have functioning societies. We have big cities, and then we have small towns, and then we have, secluded acreages. It all works. And we don't have AI. We don't use robots. We run our societies. It's all people. And we do take on jobs in everlasting life. We go to school and we learn. And that's how we run our societies. And we love it. So because you'll live for infinity, it'll just keep going forever. You will want to go to school and learn something and get good at something and have a job. And that's how we run our society. So we still have restaurants, we have hotels, we have, schools and teachers and all that. But you don't have to. There's going to be long periods where it's just going to be a vacation. But you'll have God's technology to go deep sea dive and to go to any planet and study animals. And I have so much to tell you. And so that's what my family, my parents, me and my brother's surprise, decided to leave our birth planet, and we went on our vacation. But a lot will happen on Judgment Day if you decide to stay on the earth. Then it's going to be a busy 24 hours. Well, I guess less than 24 by the time morning comes. And big, enormous spaceships will, not like on Independence Day movie, or not like that big, but big enough to carry big vehicles, big trucks and submarines and boats and all kinds of vehicles that will then help the aliens and earthlings clean up the earth of all garbage. Judgment Day will be a day of cleanse. The earth will be cleansed of all garbage, all chemical spills, all oil spills. Because we have God's technology and it allows us to do this, and thousands and thousands of people from EL will take part, if not millions. And we will do this. We will clean the earth in the 24 hours of Judgment Day and get it ready for everlasting life. Because the very next day, when earth joins everlasting life, aliens will want to come down to the earth and explore and move, and live on the earth. Make it their home. not only will it be cleansed free of the garbage, but also it will be cleansed free of the intelligence virus. Any material that has the intelligence virus will be dumped into the garbage trucks. And when they're full, we just push a button and it zaps the contents into the nearest black hole. And we will do this with everything will be done with the help of God. So God will guide us to what everything that needs to be done, but we do all the work. God doesn't do anything. All God does is create the universe. We do the rest. We're very science oriented and very environment conscientious, and we also rescue animals. So much I have to tell you. And the intelligence virus is always a lie. And because the true existence of the earth is in everlasting life. All books, all fiction, all books, all movies, magazines, even the history of our civilizations, that will all go into the garbage. In everlasting life, there is no fiction. I'm sorry to tell you. And when I remembered that, I was really bummed, actually. I was just like, I don't like this. But now at this point, 10 years later, I'm like, take it. I don't care. It's just, it's just the way we're heading. It's just worse and worse. And it seems like people are losing themselves to lies and losing their minds to lies. And just quickly, there's two types of truths. The truth, which is physical, and then there's your truth, which is your internal truths. So you don't owe anybody your truths. You can hide your truths. But then there's the physical truths that are just real. They're the reality, matter. And so in everlasting life, there is no fiction. Even like when we read books to kids, they're all based on something that really happened. And we don't watch movies. There's no movies, there's no books, there's no fictional characters, none of that. Everything we see and read, we know happened. So you have to let go of that part of our history. It's that the history of the earth is before infant intelligence, and then there was a period of infant intelligence, and then when it joins everlasting life. But know that the transition to everlasting life is very, very smooth. So when you wake up on Judgment Day, you're not going to feel any different from who you are. There's not going to be, even before Judgment Day, there's no indication, there's no feeling. And there's going to be no feeling that everlasting life is actually happening. You're going to have to go through the normal phases of learning and seeing and accepting and even experiencing fear of whatever fears you have right now. If, for example, you fear open spaces, you might be fearful of leaving the earth until you get past the fear to get on that spaceship and travel interstellarly. So it's very real. Everything is designed around free will. And oh my God, I just got really scared that my microphone wasn't working. So that would be fitting. Trying to make these videos too many times And the one time I don't check if the microphone is on, but I think it is. So you might have, the transition to everlasting life is very real, and there's no feelings involved. We don't have a metaphysical connection with God where God makes us feel his love or where God comforts us. None of that is ever going to happen because of free will. Because if God allowed us to feel what God feels, that's a form of manipulation. That would be a form of slavery. And so on Judgment Day, we all meet God. And there's two ways of meeting God in everlasting life. We all have a relationship with God, and this is one of the reasons why God chose itself to be creator and parent, and know that we are in the image of God, in that we are intelligence with a capital I. So all intelligence means communication, and that means all living beings are intelligence with a small I. But we communicate on the same level as God. And so God is our intelligence father. We are intelligence children. And God is not a physical being. God does not have biology. God is not man. God does not have gender. But when God chose itself to be creator and parent, and then God designed us, we are designed by God. And God knows us so well that God knew that we would need to have an image of what it is. And then God chose to look like us. Isn't that funny? That God chose an image of a person, and then God had to choose mother or father. And God simply chose father. And that is how God gains the pronoun he. That's why I capitalize it in my writing, because it's like a name. And so we all meet God one of two ways. Face to God's infinite image. In this physical universe, on Judgment Day, you'll be able to do this. But you never have to, by the way. We always seek God. God doesn't seek us. But all you have to do is say out loud, Father, I wish to speak with you. And then out of a single point of light, out of a single point of light, like a tiny star, a screen appears. It's not a screen though, it's like a rip in space-time. And there is the infinite image of God. And that is the image that God chose for itself right at the beginning. And it's never changed, and it will never change. It is infinite. And it is always, always the same. And it is that of a man. You can only see torso up. And I can say, I remember dark hair. And always a long black sleeve shirt. Background is always just like white. There's nothing there. No environment, nothing. It's just white. So you can meet God, and then we communicate with God verbally. So God speaks through the image, and then we reply and we communicate verbally. There's no telepathy. That's the one way. The second way is that soul to God's infinite image. So remember, I said that God exists in its own dimension, the 10th dimension, and I'll get back to that, where our souls exist as well. And God has the power to withdraw our souls from our biology. And then all you know is that you're facing the image of a man, and that's our intelligence father. So we all have three parents: mom, dad, and God. God is our parent. And then that is how we can communicate with God. So on Judgment Day, you'll be able to call Father out loud, but you don't have to. But we all have to meet God on Judgment Day, because God needs our permission to cleanse our souls free of the intelligence virus. God cannot do this without permission, verbal permission. Therefore, we all have to meet God on Judgment Day. And so, simply, because you will need to sleep, you will get tired on Judgment Day. When you go to sleep, that is then what you will experience, is all of a sudden your soul to God's infinite image. And then Father will answer any questions you have. And by the way, there is no time passing in God's dimension. So you can take as much time as you want. And then when God returns you, it's literally like no time has passed. And then God will ask you what age you wish to wake up at. Because in EL, and I'll get back to this, of course, we don't age, and we can also choose what age we wish to be. We can go between young adult and choose to age, and then we get really, really, really old. We can choose to be young again. How else would God keep us happy for infinity, right? Because we want to have that life stage experience when we're become grandparents and great grandparents. Then we want to age, and then once our grandchildren and great grandchildren grow up, we want to be youthful again, but we're never young. It's always, I think, 30 and up. So God will ask what age you wish to wake up at. And if by the way, if you have any disabilities, you have limbs missing or any body part missing, know that when you wake up, you will have perfect biology. So know that. And of course, you will be healed of any mental illness. And I guess that's about it. Then when you wake up, you'll be in EL, and your learning process about everlasting life will begin. But don't worry, there's gonna be people from EL to help you, your neighbors. And of course, nobody is homeless in everlasting life. Nobody. Remember, Jesus said, there are many rooms in my Father's house. Nobody is homeless. In fact, you will have many, many homes across the entire universe as you journey, as you travel. You will want to build. Or we're very, like I said, we're very environmentally conscientious, and we reuse. So if we move out of a home, we have the Uninet, Universal Internet, and of course we have God's technology. And so yeah, we don't have personal computers because we don't need to. Our laptops are as powerful as possible, and contain, in fact, like a Google Maps for the entire universe in your laptop. I have so much to tell you. I hope you're at least a little bit curious. And so Judgment Day is a happy, fun day. Yes, we mourn those who pass away. But when God cleanses your soul and removes the intelligence virus, then with your permission, God will remove also those who chose death. Because we let go of the intelligence virus. And God also lets go. So on Judgment Day, or your death day, if you die before Judgment Day, if you chose death, if you had slaves, then when you die and your soul self-extinguishes, God chooses to forget you. God has the power to forget. And then once God forgets you, there's no going back. And then when we wake up in everlasting life, we will have no memory of you as well. And in that way, it's as if you never existed. You will cease to exist on Judgment Day. I don't know if there's anything scarier. But know that on Judgment Day, we also receive God's forgiveness, and that's ultimate. When God removes the intelligence virus, it will also remove anything negative that you did, and you will forget anything negative that anybody has done to you. You will forget all negative interactions. We let go of the intelligence virus. And then God will do all that as well. God will forget everything negative about you and will only remember your good deeds and your positive interactions. And that is God's forgiveness. And know that the day after Judgment Day, Jesus will then travel back to the earth in a spaceship. Because like I said, Jesus is alive right now in everlasting life. That is where Jesus was born, and that is where Jesus lives, in everlasting life with us. And the day after Judgment Day, Jesus will come back, and Jesus will seek every single last person that chose everlasting life. And know that Jesus doesn't know anything negative, doesn't know you. And he won't know anything negative about you when you join everlasting life. And I hope that makes you happy. I hope that makes you so much more happier than burdening Jesus with having to judge 7 billion people and decide whether they're worthy of EL or not. Instead, we are self-judging. But know that God gave Jesus 2 gifts. The first one is that Jesus has the power to remember every single one of us that he meets. That means once Jesus meets you, he never forgets you. He never forgets your name, your conversations, anything you told him about yourself. And this makes us very happy in everlasting life. But it also makes Jesus happy. And then the second gift, well, I talked about that in my other video. I think it was my second video on about Jesus. I don't think I forgot anything this time. But yes, if I had one word to describe everlasting life, it would be vacation. So I hope you're looking forward to Judgment Day, day of first contact, and pay attention to the 4+1 signs. The +1 sign, I'm going to make a whole other video about. Do I personally, can I envision all of this happening? I've been living with it for 10 years, and still it is hard for me to actually see it for real. I can envision it, but that reality coming true, it would be just incredible. But something in me tells me that it's probably not going to be for a long time, maybe even not my lifetime. Because of reasons, and I'm sure you can think of at least a couple right now. But I'm gonna end this video here. It's already 50 minutes. I really try to make my videos short. I know everybody's busy, and I'm sorry if it takes up too much time. But like I said, I hope you're getting a little bit happy and excited. That's what it's about. It's time to get happy, and it's time to self-judge and do good deeds. That is the only way. I hope to see you soon. Please, if you have questions, leave them for me. I'll gladly make entire videos answering your questions. Peace.